We are good to go. So, hello, hello. Welcome to our Wednesday weekly team call featuring an evening talk with Darren. It's Kai and Greg Hayes once again, your Elite Pro 8 leader from Austin, Texas. We appreciate everyone who are here with us today, joining our special Zoom meeting call only because we are so fortunate to have our LifeVantage President and CEO, Darren Jensen. Now, it may be hard to believe that I invited our president and CEO to join our meeting call this week. However, Greg and I strongly believe that it is important and valuable that our team get to meet and get to know Darren and hear and witness the exciting things going on in LifeVantage. And boy, what an honor to hear it directly from Darren himself, right? Therefore, this is a monumental moment for all of us today. And the coolest thing is, he agreed to be in a hot seat today as I interview and ask him a couple of questions. And if the time allows, we can entertain more questions from you tonight. Okay, we are going to touch on a few talking points, which begins like getting to know our CEO. I am certain that every one of you want to know a little bit about Darren. Second, we will hear about amazing LifeVantage current fiscal year results. Third will be how about our new two Asian markets to open. Of course, our first digital annual convention on October 22nd, 23rd, and why we all need to be there with our team and all our guests. And finally, we also have to take a look at our outlook in 2021.
Wow, Kai, we're blessed to have such a dynamic, knowledgeable, and successful professional leading our company. Thank you, Darren, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. Kai, we know we have a rock star president and CEO leading us. So to help some of those who may not realize it, or the new people that have joined LifeVantage lately, could I ask you to please tell us more about our guest speaker today and our CEO, Darren Jensen?
Thank you, Greg. Absolutely. Moving on, allow me to give you Darren's background. Well, Darren Jensen is our CEO and president of LifeVantage, one of the world's preeminent publicly traded biohacking companies. A biohacker in his own right, Darren is an emerging authority and thought leader in the biohacking sphere and field of nutrigenomics. With nearly 30 years of experience in the direct selling industry, Darren has co-founded two DSN Global 100 companies and has served in the variety of leadership capacities over the arc of his career for multiple privately and publicly held companies in the industry. He has been named as the ambassador of Network Marketing Hall of Fame and has repeatedly been voted one of the top CEOs in the direct selling industry. Darren is a member of the CEO Council for the World's Federation and Direct Selling Associations, and also serves on the Direct Selling Association Board of Directors. He has lectured and given presentations across the globe on a gamut of issues impacting the industry, and never one to shy away from rolling up his sleeves and getting his hands dirty. Darren also served as a volunteer firefighter in his hometown in the wake of 9/11. He has also served in the variety of roles for the Boy Scout of America. Darren holds a bachelor's degree in international relations from Brigham Young University with a focus on international business development. And ever a family man, he and his wife, Carol Lee, are the proud parents of 5 wonderful children and impending grandparents of 1. Like I said, this is an incredible time for all of us to meet our president and CEO. So first, please drop a 1 on the comment section below to let Darren knows how much we love and appreciate his time with us tonight. All right, lots of 1. So
Thanks, everybody.
with so much pride, please welcome Darren Jensen. Hello, Darren, how are you?
I'm doing great, Kai. And hello, everybody. It's good to be with you. I was looking at all the participants. Thank you for all the 1s that you're putting in there. It's, I just want to let you know, really the pleasure is mine to be with you tonight. Anytime that I can spend with our key partners out in the field, it's time well spent. So thank you for the invitation today.
You are welcome, and it is such an honor. We are thrilled to have you with us tonight, Darren. Because I know how hectic your calendar schedule, but here it is. You still managed to be here with us today. And I also know that you're going to run to the opening game of Salt Lake Real soccer game in an hour.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've got my jersey all on. It's because literally I stand up from doing this and we walk out the door. And,
okay, so we
no,
shall start the ball rolling, Darren. But first,
that's fine. But we are really looking forward to the game. With COVID going on, it's kind of nice to get out and do something that seems normal. Go to a game. So it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, go team.
Yes, we need to cheer for our team. Thank you. That's really great. But first, you guys, I want you to know that Darren is so much fun to be with, because Greg and I were so fortunate to join him in his various LifeVantage incentive trips, like in Ireland, Hawaii, Bahamas, Park City, Utah, Boulders Resorts in Arizona, and many others. And these are the best times to get to know our top executives as well, because you'll discover that they are just the coolest guys on earth. So I highly encourage you all to participate and win our promotions. So back to our talk. We're going to make this informal, Darren. I'll just going to ask you a couple of questions. So the first question for you is, tell us a little bit about your hobbies and interests. Say, if Darren Jensen is not in his workstation or in corporate meetings, what do you love to do with Carolee or family, other than, of course, river rafting with you in Park City, Utah, in one of your Pro 5 Summit incentives? Take it away, Darren.
What do I like to do? You mentioned before that I was a firefighter for 9 years. I don't think there was a time limit on it, but 9 years. And that was something I really enjoyed. I had to stop doing that a few years back. After about the fourth time I was killed on doing it, my wife saying, you're a scoutmaster for the Boy Scouts of America, you're a firefighter. I started running for city council. I was running a company. And she's like, you probably ought to do a little bit less. You got to give up at least one hobby. So I stopped doing firefighting, but there's nothing quite like driving a fire engine with the lights and sirens going full blast through the middle of town. That's pretty exciting. But knowing that you can serve people and help people when you arrive, I was just looking at giving back to the community at that time. But what do? You mentioned that I was an impending grandfather. Actually, that's older. I'm going to have him updated. I do have a grandson right now. I've got 5 kids. 2 of them are married. And, like many of you, in my house, we have now 6 students that are 5 of them at the university and 1 of them in high school. So, we're just dealing with school and with life. And so what do? Mostly just family time. We love to travel. We love to, play games. What else do I do? I'm a genealogist too. I love researching family history. So I do that quite a bit. And, those are just some of my hobbies.
Wow, this is something new. We get to know what Darren is doing out of LifeVantage. Wow, this is the other fun side of Darren. And it is truly amazing that even though, you volunteered as a firefighter for 9 years, like it is always in your heart and mind to serve others. And that is truly, truly wonderful for all of us to know, because you have exhibited benevolence in your leadership. We admire you, Darren. Thank you. And on to our second question for you. We've got an outstanding fiscal year results that just came out, and my jaw literally dropped. So I am sure that some of us here have received that outstanding news. Darren, could you share with us and provide us with details and how significant those results are for everyone who are a part of LifeVantage?
Okay, thank you. Well, first, let me just say, as a company, we are simply the scorekeepers. Really, we're just reporting on the efforts and the progress that each of you combined together are making. And, Unlike most companies that are private and they never have to say anything, we have to give a score every 3 months. And I think it requires a discipline as a company to be able to say, we're working on X, Y, and Z. This is what our leaders are thinking, because you can be asked any question on these earnings calls, and you've got to be ready to answer it. But really, that's kind of a secondary thing. The main thing is that you're posing the correct questions to you and your top leaders to say, what is best for the business and what do we need to be doing right now? And, when we look at, well, first of all, let me just say that on our numbers, we end our fiscal year on June 30th. So we're already on 2021. We started 2021 July 1st. Okay. Whenever I go into a bank or something, I have to sign something. I always have to make sure not to say 2021 as the date, because normally I'm already on 2021 in my head. But so for the last quarter, this is the quarter that ended April, May, June. Okay, so our fourth quarter. You guys did $59.4 million in sales, and that was up 5.7% from year over year. So that's a great increase. We had a great increase in the Americas. That was 5.9%. And then throughout Asia Pacific and Europe, it was 5.1%. But really I think what we as a company, and probably what you as leaders were looking at the time, is, as you remember, this was the main time of COVID that was going on. I mean, everything was in lockdown, and most companies were putting out doom and gloom, the sky is falling. I remember getting on some CEO calls with as part of the board of directors for the Direct Selling Association. I remember getting on the calls, and some companies were saying, especially the party plan companies, they were saying, look, we're projecting our sales are going to drop 90%. And if we can get them to drop 60%, I'll call it a win. They would have been happy with taking a hit like that. And so when everybody else was talking catastrophe, you guys were able to turn in not just a better than expected, because sometimes you could say doom and gloom and it's down here and you do right here and everybody's cheers. But we were comparing year over year, and you guys still came in and crushed last year when there wasn't COVID. So it's really a testament to each of you and your adaptability in doing your business, because there's great change that occurred in that fourth quarter. I remember, if somebody would have walked into my office on January, well, let's say if they would have walked in on March 1st and said, look, within 11 days from now, you're going to have to move all of your employees to a work from home scenario. All of your distributors are going to be stopped from doing in-person meetings. You can't hold any major events. You can't do any belly-to-belly prospecting. Oh, and by the way, this is worldwide. And in Japan, your second largest market, you can't do cyber recruiting. You can't recruit via Zoom or via social media. It has to be person to person. And if they would have said, okay, what impact do you think this will have on the business? I think myself and many others would have said catastrophic. And if the question would have been asked, how much time do you need to prep for that? The answer may have been 2 years, at least. And for us, you included, I mean, for all of us, both at corporate and in the field, to adapt to it, and not only to adapt, but thrive under this in these circumstances, it was truly amazing. So the fourth quarter was very good for us. Now, step back even a little bit further and look at it the entire year. The entire year we came in at just shy of 233 million. This is a revenue record for the company. And so, I mean, it's our highest revenue. Last year was another record, and we came in at 224. We came in now at 233, which to turn in a year-over-year record in revenue was incredible. But not only that, how I mean, there's two major things that a company is rated on: the revenue and EBITDA, or profitability, or you know, general profitability. There's other, net profit, but we look at EBITDA. And our EBITDA number went up over 30%. So not only were we able to have a lot of revenue, but we're also profitable. And this is important at this time of the year. I mean, in this time of world history, it's important that you're part of a company that is healthy, that is profitable, that has powerful enough products and a sales force that's dedicated enough to stand together and partner during difficult times. And I think all of these things coming together really put LifeVantage in a position to post a record. And again, we're just keeping score. I mean, for us, we're like, yay team, yay to each of you, because it's really each of you that did this. We're simply your partners in it. And so that's a little highlight from the year. I mean, we also came out the year debt-free. I've mentioned this before, but when I joined the company back in 2015, we had maybe $43 or $45 million in debt. And, you know, that's coming in as a CEO and having that heavy debt burden out there, that's a little intimidating. But, you know, in March, right before we were going into COVID full steam, we paid off the last portion of that debt. So we walked into COVID debt-free, a lot of cash on hand, and we do we have enough time for a little story?
Yes,
Okay.
we have a lot of time actually, Darren.
And a little story on top of this. It wasn't just that we had cash. We were, you know, we had product, we had this, but I've said that sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I'm not sure how far I've shared this story. I've shared it with some of the leaders, but really I think that, you know, whatever your religious beliefs, if you believe in God or the universe or whatever it might be, things have worked out for LifeVantage in a way that sometimes your jaw just drops. Because in early January, we always are doing product. We're always creating a crisis internally, and then we engage all of our teams, our crisis management teams, on correcting them, because it gives us practice. And we had just completed a mock product recall. So we created a scenario where we had to go out and recall product and we had to determine who had it, how do we contact them, how do we get each bottle from every single person. You know, it was just a test. And at the end of that test, I sat down with the vice president in charge of that. And I asked him, I said, in addition to figuring out how to get the product back, did we engage our internal crisis management team, our external crisis management team, our PR agencies? You know, did we engage everyone and actually write the documents to say, hey, we need these back. Hey, we need to do this or that, or news articles. And they said no. And I said, well, that's unfortunate, because we only did it halfway. So let's look for another potential problem that could be out there, and let's run another test. And so it was probably about January 21st. I said, hey, there's this virus out in Wuhan, China. Why don't we use that as an example of it turning into a pandemic? Because this was the day they had just closed down Wuhan. It was just becoming known. And I said, why don't we use that as an example? And let's pretend that it is a global pandemic. And so we said, okay, that was on January. No, that was January. So I made the request on January 21st. On January 24th, they started to run the scenario. On January 27th, 3 days later, we had already declared it an emergency internally, and we had already started to cancel Asian events to say, you know what, we're not going to bring all the mainland Chinese into Taiwan. We're not going to bring the Taiwanese down into a big event that we're having in Thailand. And so we already started canceling and moving stuff around. And then a couple of days after that, we said, well, if this is in Wuhan, we get product, we get some raw materials out of the province called Hubei province. Where do we stand with that? And we realized, you know what, we need to buy some more. So we went out and cornered the world market on certain raw materials to bring them in, so that we had 10 months of stock on hand. So when this whole thing started, we had 10 months of raw materials in pre-made product and product in the supply chain. So most companies were scrambling, they're out of product, and we were actually doing very well from a product standpoint. We were running mock trials of doing the call center away. I mean, we were all ready to go. So it was very fortunate, but we feel very blessed. And it's allow us to have a continuous flow of service and product for each of you. So that was a story that really put us on a better pathway to be able to withstand the challenges of the day.
Absolutely. That was an incredible story of great preparation for the things to come, right?
Great luck too, or great blessing, either way you want to look at it. I'll take it.
Right, great preparation, and what outstanding crews we've got working behind the scenes, and we'd like to thank you for that. I know you've always been sending the credit to us, to your field distributors, that we are doing our job as promoting and marketers here in the field. But however, without you, without your guidance and without your support, doing these things like what you just told us about this story, I don't think we might not be able to continue to do our job as well if you guys are not in sync with us. Definitely, you are a Boy Scout because you are definitely putting the hands in the right people, and we are in good hands. So Darren, I would like to actually ask you about the 2 new Asian market next month that is about to open. Would you tell us a little bit about it and share us why and how LifeVantage chooses countries to open?
Well, let's talk from kind of a strategic overview of how we do business. Normally what we like to do is to choose approximately 2 markets per year to focus on. Now, typically we'd like to launch 2 markets per year. And this allows us, I think, to spend enough time on them and resource them properly. And so each year, what we've asked and what we have on our strategic plan, and that plan goes out about 5 years. Well, typically we work on a 3-year plan, but some portions go out a little longer. But what we do is we choose one market that is a strategic expansion of the company, and then we choose one market that is based on demand, so field demand. And really from a strategic standpoint, we look for areas that are growing rapidly in the world. And really from a growth standpoint, most of that is somewhere in the Asian, the Pacific Rim area. You have some of the largest direct selling countries there. And so as we continue a strategic expansion you have to address the Asia Pacific area. Then we have the other market, which, the other one that we choose based on demand. And that's based on really people that each of you are bringing into the company and the demand that's out there for a given area. For instance, we had some European leaders join a few years ago, and they said, hey, we've performed well in this market. And we know that if you're in these areas, we have huge lines in there. If you can expand through these markets, we'll bring business. So we said, okay, you've performed here. We know that you can do it. We'll consider those demand. And we went out and opened a number of markets for them. So with that in mind, this year, the 2 markets we're going to be opening, I think in just a few weeks from now.
Right.
We have not, I think we probably, put out some official notice to the field. I'd have to go and look, but I mean, it's going to be next month that we're targeting. Again, if something really flies off the wheels from COVID or something, but it's either way, we're rolling the market out. But really, one of the expansion areas is Singapore. We've talked about Singapore. It is a very small market, but you may not know that LifeVantage, for years, we're a Singaporean company. One of our holding companies is Singaporean. And so it was easier for us to get into this market. And we really see Singapore as a gateway into many areas of Southeast Asia. Currently, we're in Thailand, but Singapore has large populations of people from India. They have large populations of people from China, from the Philippines, from Indonesia, from Malaysia. And so it's really a melting pot of all of these areas, and really a logistics hub type deal. So one of the reasons why we expanded into Singapore was for these reasons. And there's some demand there too, but really it's preparations for other areas. So one of the other markets that we announced also was a not-for-resale program up into Malaysia. Malaysia is one of the largest direct selling countries in the world, and it has very good relationships with Singapore. I mean, it's right on the tip of the country, and to where I mean, if you've been to Singapore, you get on a bus and you can drive to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia in like 4 hours. I mean, it's really short. So it made sense to, similar to the United States, how we have a not-for-sale program into Canada, to start out the same way. Open up Singapore, allow people in Malaysia to begin consuming the products on a not-for-resale basis. And as we continue our work on really moving to an on-the-ground model in Malaysia. Okay, so those are the two markets we talked about. We had planned to open them just a few months earlier, but due to COVID, we held off until the timing was a little better, and we feel that we can do it here. So let's see. Those are the two markets we've announced, but each year we have, as I said, a strategic launch and then a demand. The strategic expansions, we know for the next 2 to 3 years what they're going to be, because we have to start working on them well in advance. But the demand markets, that's really up to you. I mean, we listen to what you're saying, and we begin looking at areas where we think we have sufficient leadership and sufficient demand that we should make an investment in.
Absolutely. So this means, Darren, that LifeVantage is focusing on Asian countries and not, we're done with European countries?
Not necessarily, no.
Oh, okay.
Strategically, a lot of the focus is in Asia, but some of the largest direct selling countries are in Europe too. And there's a lot of growth within Latin America. So I see more the demand areas maybe drawing us into those areas. For instance, I don't take these as announcements, because they're not. Right. I'm just saying, we get a lot of people that come and say, hey, you ought to go into Colombia. Colombia is always great, and Latin America is growing or expanding. And, right. And we have people that come in and talk about Italy, and they talk about, markets all over throughout Europe. So again, it's an evaluation of what leaders we have in place and what leaders could potentially join that really weighs heavy on our decision where to go. So I'm not saying that we wouldn't expand in Europe or that we wouldn't expand in Latin America, but Asia right now, just due to the growth that it's in, is always high on the priority to expand it.
Perfect, wonderful. So you guys, you heard that. That it's all about us. It depends on us in which market we want to head, because it's based on demands and also strategic strategies. Okay, so do we have a magic date for Singapore and Malaysia, Darren?
You know what? I do not have the date, and if we have not announced that, I wouldn't release it. But it is I mean, it's getting imminent now. I know that it's in September. I haven't looked at the exact date, and maybe we have announced it. I don't know. Let me know. I've been distracted on some other things, but have you guys heard a date yet?
I was told that it's September 8th, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I've been
And
talking to Key, and it was not definite yet, but I think
okay,
between those
well,
times,
then I
yeah.
won't announce or say whether it is or isn't, but we are targeting here just in the next few weeks. So
Absolutely. I'm
it's
actually surprised that it's going to be in September. So I was hoping, I mean, I was expecting due to COVID, it was going to be in October. So I'm
well,
glad it's opening up earlier than October. Yeah.
it's luckily with technology today, you can still soft launch a market. Obviously,
Exactly.
we may allow orders to be sold, but we really like to let a market develop a little bit and get some leadership in, and then go and do a big hurrah. So normally those come several months later on anyway. So maybe by then we'll have some of this COVID stuff resolved.
Absolutely. Thank you, Darren. And the fourth question would be our first annual digital convention, which will be held in October 22nd and 23rd. So far, the perks you have given to all of us are second to none. Thank you for that. And also, Greg and I know that you are, your incredible crew are basically preparing for an outstanding production event for all of us. So could you give us a little bit of what to expect?
Well, this is a year unlike other years. And so since it is unique, we are experimenting because really, as I saw the industry developing, I knew that there was going to be more of a shift to doing things online, because I think you can be more efficient and productive when you do things online. I mean, you can get a lot more meetings done quicker without having to travel.
True.
And so with this, there's always going to be a belly-to-belly relationship with our people. So really, I can't wait until we can have large meetings again and see what that ideal balance is now in the future between what do we do online, what do we do in person. And I really like the experiential side, similar to what we had just done down in Mexico in February, having a destination elite academy. Okay. And so I think that's really important, where we give you more time as you bring people in electronically as leaders to sit down with them and just cement that relationship in person and leave it a little more fluid, the structure of the event. And so what we're looking at doing is doing a global broadcast in all languages, not in all languages, in all the LifeVantage languages right out of the gate. And it will be, some of it will be live, some of it will be recorded. And we've got a big studio that we're working out of. And it's a huge production that we're doing. And really when it comes to content, being able to choose and to curate the content that you want to watch, it allows us to spotlight even more leaders than what you're typically limited to on stage. Because now you have all of these breakout sessions that you can say, oh, well, I want to view them all, or I want to view all of these. I mean, and to have them available for 30 days afterwards,
Right.
it gives you the ability to see everything and to add more content and to really just, to really just get more out of it. When I look at the value that you can get from this event, here you see everything. It doesn't require you to get on an airplane or to get a hotel. You're able to gather yourself plus other people, because you get a couple other codes to come in. And, as I've talked with some leaders, they're having depending on the area in which they live, they're bringing people together and they're watching it as a group, so that there's some of that belly to belly, but there's also
timing is everything. And
Oops, sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. So that's, I think this will allow us to test in a time when we can test, and then take those learnings. So once COVID is controlled, vaccine, whatever it might be, that we can then say, okay, let's take the best of both worlds and figure out how all this works together. And I think in the end, it will make us a better company, better leaders, better, I think the way I see the world today is that there is a giant reset button that COVID has quietly pushed for the direct selling industry. Many people may not see it, but there's a reset button that just hit. And we can see it in the numbers of the company. I can see it in the numbers of the industry. People are becoming more focused again. It shifted. I tell the people at LifeVantage, the employees, I say, welcome to 2027, because we're 7 years ahead of where I thought we'd be. You guys have been able to shift so quickly that I think that we're going to be stronger. It has changed some of the macroeconomic factors that I think were going against direct selling and turned them in our direction. Because now people are so focused on wellness. They're focused on entrepreneurial behavior and opportunities that they may not have been before. And when you couple wellness with entrepreneurial opportunities with a business that can function within in a socially distanced environment, you've got a winner. And I mean, as I talk to stock analysts, that's what they say. This industry checks every single box. And there's a lot more interest in what we're doing right now. So that, I mean, it's just changed things for, I think, especially in the United States. We've seen an interest, as we watch the numbers as you look at the numbers, even in the fourth quarter, typically we had, 1 to 5 ratio or whatever it might be of customers coming into distributors. And that shifted to where at certain times during the month or certain months, it was almost a 1-to-1 relationship of customer to distributor. Typically, we're not that heavy on distributor. So I know that your messaging was being shifted just out of demand because people were concerned about their ability to earn and to support their families. And that laser focused mentality, people will remember that for several years. I mean, they remember it from 2008 with the economic crisis then. And they're going to remember this for quite some time. And they're going to say, yeah, I want a business that if needed, I can socially distance and still do it. And that it's based on wellness, and that it's wellness, socially distanced, and that there's some type of stream of income that I can create out of it, so that I either have, that's my plan A or that's my plan B, but it's running, the whole time. So anyway, we're excited about the convention. I think the world has just changed everything right now. And now is the time for us to move.
Now is the time for us to move. I agree with you. And we are so thrilled about this first experience and having our digital annual convention. And the breakout sessions, guys, are going to be so great. And you can get this within 30 days for you and your team to take advantage of. There's a lot of values that LifeVantage is going to bring to us right now. And like you said, Darren, it's an ever-changing world, and but we're truly blessed to be in this industry. And last question for you would be, with all the craziness happened this year due to COVID-19, can you give us a little bit of a high-level thoughts about going into the next year as we roll into 2021 and moving further?
So as we go into the next year, and I have to be careful on forward-looking statements. That's
okay.
Just the well. Look,
we understand that.
But let's look from a guidance standpoint what we already gave. So going forward, we gave guidance that we're expecting another record year, both in revenue and profitability. So I think our range was, I don't know, it seems like I'd have to look it up again, like between up to about 250 to, I think it was 243 to 250 or something like that, okay? So we're expecting another record year on top of it. So that means we're anticipating your businesses to grow. And part of that explained is, I think that some of the macroeconomic factors have shifted. And I'm looking at the productivity of LifeVantage employees. We're running more productive now than what we have before. And I think that your businesses are doing the same, because not only did you surpass what we did last year in a record, and you beat that, we're expecting you to do it again. So I think some other factors that will affect us too is when I look at next year, you now have a large number, millions and millions of people that have been working at home who may have always went into the office every day. And they're going to be going, hey, you know what? I kind of like this commute, right? From my bedroom to my office or downstairs or wherever it is. That's something that each of you have been talking about for the last umpteen years, right? But it's almost like when people are talking about making money. You know, you may have somebody like a LeBron James who's making, I don't know, hundreds of millions a year. And you have somebody who may be making $20,000 a year. The person making $20,000 has a hard time comprehending what 100 million a year looks like, right? I think most of us have that problem,
right.
You know. But I look at it the same way of working from home. You had millions of people that had never comprehended it because they never did it. And now they're doing it and they're going to like it. And they're not going to want to go back. Okay. And so they're going to be saying, how do I keep this? Because I like it. And you're going to be giving them an answer, an opportunity that if they choose, that they, you know, that theoretically it could lead to staying at home full time. I mean, it's all based on their own desires and how they run their business, but.
Absolutely. That's what happened to me, Darren. I used to be a corporate executive, very successful at what I did. And I used to own my traditional telecommunications business. But guess what? I would never go back to the traditional business or jobs anymore because I like it. I like it here. That's exactly it. So any last parting words or anything like an advice to all of our, especially to our new distributors that who were fortunate enough to meet you here?
Well, my only thing would be this. Well, first, let me just say thank you. Thank you for all that you do. If you're new to the business, welcome. You're part of a family that spans the world now. And I've found that this family that we have, that we're giving, we care. Anywhere that you go and you run into a LifeVantage distributor, you've got family right there, and they'll treat you like that, because some of the best people in the world you'll interact with are with each of you. And so that's where you belong, and that's how we need to maintain that culture. And then my thing would be that now's just the time to engage. We always talk, you know, there are a lot of people that are getting ready to get ready forever. The getting ready time is past, and now we just need to engage and grow. The company overall is growing. That means each of you overall is growing and expanding your business. And I don't know that despite all of the death and destruction and negativity and things going on, people are looking for something good. They're tired of looking at the news. They're tired of living in uncertainty, and they want something positive in their life. They want to have greater flexibility in their life. And I mean, it's like the three main questions that people ask the two things that on all of the research that the Direct Selling Association did right prior to COVID was they want low risk and low risk and what was it? Low risk.
Low startup.
And low cost. Yeah, low startup cost. Those were the two things that everybody from Gen X and younger were looking for. We answer that. We answer, what do you do in a socially distanced world? We answer, hey, I'm looking to stay as healthy as possible, and I want wellness. We answer that. We answer all the pertinent questions of today, and the time is now to engage. There's just no better time. and you've got the best partners here. We have the best partners in each of you, and we'll always do our part to be your partner.
And we trust in you because Darren, I'm telling everyone that I've never done network marketing in my life, but I am thankful to God that it did found me. It did find me because goodness, I will never exchange this particular business model with any other business model that I've done before. It's incredible. It's such a blessing to engage in network marketing industry. It used to be just my plan B, Darren. I never thought that it would be my plan A. I never thought that I would retire myself from the corporate world and also allowed Greg to retire from the corporate world that he's been working for since 37 years. So right now we wake up together, we travel together, and we are building our legacy for our children and children's children. So Darren, thank you for all this exhilarating news that you shared with us tonight. Rest assured, we put our trust in you, and you have not only accomplished outstanding results for LifeVantage, but you also exhibited benevolent leadership to all of us. We are thrilled to sail on an expedition with you, for we have got the best captain of the ship, right, you guys? So please drop another one for Darren before we close this meeting. To show how much we value his time as he ran to the Real soccer game. And Darren, it's been such an honor and a pleasure to have you in our meeting tonight. You have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the game, by the way, and God bless you. Can't wait to see you again at our LifeVantage Annual Digital Convention. And to everyone who are here with us today, thank you for joining us on our call tonight. And until our next Wednesday training call, God bless you all. I love you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Say
you.
hi. Bye to
Love
Darren.
you.
Bye, guys.